Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft in the studios of our flagship stations 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. You'll also find us in the Birmingham-Bloomfield area on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and on City Cable 15 in Southfield. Join us live on Channel 10 every day in Waterford on the Media Network of Waterford and live to tape on Channel 10 in Lake Orion and Orion Township on Orion Neighborhood Television or ONTV. You can also find us on the radio in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on 88.1 The Biff Radio Network, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. Find us online on our Facebook pages at Civic Center TV 15 and at Lakes FM, on our website at civiccentertv.com and on My Michigan TV or MyMy at mymytv.com. That's MYMITV.com, where you can learn more about downloading their free apps for your smartphones and smart TVs. Take My Michigan TV home with you and on the road. Anywhere you go, Michigan programming is always in your pocket with My Michigan TV's free apps. All that information is also on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our programs and more on, of course, all of our partnering stations as well. Then let's head over to our news page, civiccentertv.com. Click on our local news link at the top of the homepage. If you're on your computer browser, on your mobile phone browser and other mobile devices, it may be in the left margin of the screen and a drop-down menu. On that link, you'll find information on COVID-19 from reliable expert resources at the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division. That'll help you stay up to date on everything you need to know about the spread of COVID-19, precautionary tactics that may need to be employed in your community in certain capacities, as well as where you can get vaccinated and find your booster shots as well. Also on our news page, we feature articles from many journalistic outlets across the Great Lakes state to keep you updated on COVID-19 and other stories making headlines all throughout Michigan. Our top story today is from a team of journalists at the Detroit. Top story today is from the Bridge, Michigan. Sorry, we had a little mix-up in our prompter of some of these articles, just out of order. Michigan is sending money to Oxford to help them heal, in quotations, and improve safety at other schools in the district. Michigan will invest $9.8 million to help Oxford High School recover from a school shooting and $27.5 million to help the school assess school safety and provide comprehensive maps of school buildings for law enforcement as well. Governor Whitmer is expected to sign on Friday a bill called House Bill 60212, which passed with overwhelming support in both the House and the Senate. The bill provides $9.8 million to Oxford Community Schools in the wake of a shooting at Oxford High School on November 30th that left 4 students dead and 7 injured, including a teacher. The district can use the funds to provide student support, including psychologists, family liaisons, and mental health staff. The district can use the money as well for school security, additional learning time, and legal fees. Spending on repairing the high school is also allowed in this funding. The school safety package also includes $15 million for public school districts and private schools to conduct safety and security assessments. Districts can apply to receive up to $2,000 per school, per building, to conduct these assessments. Additionally, there's $12.5 million available for schools to conduct critical incidents mapping so that law enforcement can have comprehensive information about a school's layout. This type of mapping must include accurate floor plans, labels for things like key boxes, external defibrillators, and trauma kits as well. The package is bipartisan. The House bill passed with 103 members voting yes and 7 members abstaining, not voting. The Senate passed the bill with 37 yes votes and 1 member excused from the voting. The bill is sponsored by State Representative Pamela Hornberger, a Republican from Chesterfield Township who is a former teacher. Quote, "We carefully listened to the needs expressed by Oxford and worked with them to provide the tools that they need to recover from the lasting impact of the tragedy that students, staff, and the building itself withstood in the shooting," Hornberger said in a statement. Oxford High School band director Jim Gibbons and president of the Oxford Education Association said in statements that the package would give money, quote, "to support our students and staff in their healing," end closed quote. Governor Whitmer said in a statement she is proud to sign the bill and more can be done, including, quote, funding effective law enforcement solutions and storing firearms safely, end closed quote. Earlier this week, about 100 teachers and other educators demonstrated in front of the state capitol building, calling for better school safety and stronger gun laws after a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, left 19 students and 2 teachers dead in May. Earlier this month, Republican candidates for governor shared their ideas for improving school safety. Their ideas range from allowing teachers to be armed, training retired veterans to be armed hallway monitors, and requiring schools to have a single point of entry. So one way in, one way out, and that's it. The House passed a separate bill this week that would allow school districts to submit critical incidents maps to law enforcement in case of an emergency. The bill has been referred to the Senate Education and Career Readiness Committee as well. There could be more assistance on the way. The governor, the House, and the Senate will all included spending for school safety grants in their budget proposals, but they did differ on what schools could use those grants for. Also making headlines on our website, civiccentertv.com/local-news from the Detroit News. Meijer is warning customers to check their accounts for excess charges. Customers who shopped at Meijer stores over the weekend should check on their bank statements to ensure that they weren't overcharged at the register. The grocery store chain says it's been plagued by payment processing problems for a couple of weeks. The problems have ranged from being unable to use a credit card to pay for items to debit card errors that sometimes process duplicate transactions of the same amount. While credit card problems have been resolved, the company says debit card errors continued over the weekend. Some customers reported being charged multiple times for their purchases. The company advises that those who believe they were charged in error should contact their financial institution, which should quickly resolve the problem, though it may take a bit of time for the refunded money to be restored into their accounts. The company says customer service representatives are available to assist with any of these issues. They're available 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the following number, 1-877-363-4537. Again, that customer service number for Meijer on this issue, available 7 a.m. until 1 a.m. throughout the week, 1-877-363-4537. Finally, making headlines on our website at civiccentertv.com on our local news page from the Detroit Free Press. Temperatures will reach close to 100 this week in the metropolitan area of Detroit. Metro Detroit can expect extreme heat with humidity making it feel like it's over 100 degrees in town on Wednesday, according to the National Weather Service. Before Metro Detroit gets to the heat, thunderstorms are expected on Monday evening with very high winds and heavy rain. Tuesday should be clear, however, with temperatures in the high 80s. For Wednesday, the temperature will reach 97 degrees, but the heat index will feel upwards of 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Rain showers and possible storms could happen Wednesday evening. For Thursday and Friday, temperatures will begin to go back down to the low 80s. All of those headlines on our website, civiccentertv.com/local-news. We'll also find those links to the Centers for Disease Control, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 specific web pages to keep you updated locally, statewide, and across the country on COVID-19. Before we take a break, let's head over to one of our partnering stations and learn more about what's going on in a hyper-local sense from one of our partnering communities. Jim Hall and the team at 15 News Update at City Cable 15 of Southfield has all the updates on what's going on in one of our partnering communities. This is from City Cable 15 in Southfield.
Well, greetings. Again, Michigan is making history. So we are thrilled to be here to announce an exciting initiative with the World Economic Forum. You know, Michigan is the state that has made things work. We have put the world on wheels.
My apologies, we have a little bit of a technical issue rolling the incorrect video. Let's take a break. We'll get the news from City Cable 15 after this. You are watching and listening to the Oakland County Megacast.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft. After our initial news segment of the day, let's then come to news from a hyper-local level and join one of our partnering stations for a news update in one of our many communities that we serve here in Oakland County. Jim Hall and the team at 15 News Update at City Cable 15 of Southfield has the latest on what's going on all across the Southfield community.
Now here's a look at what's coming up in this edition of 15 News. The focus on domestic violence is taking center stage, all thanks to one local writer and director. She'll walk us through this thought-provoking performance and why we need to look beyond gender stereotypes when it comes to abuse. Then we catch up with our friends from Sleep in Heavenly Peace to check out their latest effort in providing Metro Detroit youth with a simple item that many of us take for granted. And we've got some great news for those living and commuting in the Beach Road area. Our city engineer gives us an update about the current road projects and a construction forecast for the months ahead. You can catch all this and more coming up in this edition of 15 News. According to national research, nearly 10 million people have experienced domestic violence. After experiencing domestic violence, Paris Medley set out to use her talents to bring attention to this hot button topic.
Sometimes we feel like just women get abused, but that's not the case. Men are abusers too, and I'm shedding light on both aspects as far as the gay community and the straight community.
I would never be with a man with you. Look at me up and down. You think I would really be with you for nothing? The only reason I'm with you because I know that my investment would double over time.
I wanted to be clear that it doesn't matter what your occupation is. It doesn't matter what role you play. Abuse is everywhere. It's just not one way.
Medley is the writer, director, and producer of Why Won't They Leave, which features separate stories of domestic violence, ranging from physical to financial abuse, while highlighting different types of relationships and genders.
So many times domestic violence, it can end up, sometimes they leave and sometimes they're not able to leave. Sometimes it ends up tragic.
Do you understand me?
Please make sure.
Do you understand?
Yes.
They will feel the actors and actresses. They will feel the abuse. They will feel the counselor talking to her employees saying to get out and what she went through. They will feel every emotion that's on this stage. From every actor. I have an all-star cast, amazing group of people. And some of my cast members have experienced abuse before. So it makes it a little more real.
You think we're just gonna separate after everything I've given up and invested in?
Oh my God, there you go, again, talking about what you have invested. This is a marriage, Maxine.
For more information about Why Won't They Leave and Paris Medley, head to her Paris Medley page on YouTube. Hundreds of kids in the Metro Detroit area either share a bed or sleep without one. Thankfully, there's a nonprofit organization that helps with this problem, Sleep in Heavenly Peace.
So what's going on today is we're taking raw lumber that we got from Lowe's and we're cutting it, we're sanding it, we're drilling it, then we're screwing it together and we're making beds. And these beds will go into homes of kids that are sleeping on the floor or sharing a bed with a family member. And we have about 100 volunteers here. and our goal today is to make 50 beds. With the bed build process, since we started in April 2018, we've built and delivered over 525 beds. And as an organization, we've built and delivered over 100,000 beds. And we really have a need for more chapters in Metro Detroit. When we leave our request line open, the requests flood in. We can't keep up with the need, and you know, it's really tough being the only chapter here in Metro Detroit.
To make a donation to the Michigan Wayne County chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, go to shpbeds.org.
Hi, this is Sandra again, and I have been getting so many questions about plastics, plastic bags. What do we do with them? We don't want them at the facility. So we are going to tell you how you can recycle them. Plastics like this bag I used for picking up vegetables at my local grocer, this can go back to my local grocer for recycle. Grab your plastic trash bag and just put it in there, start filling it up, and you can take it right back to the grocery store. Ziploc bags, they will accept those. Bread bags, clean those out, shake out the crumbs, put it in there. Celery comes in a bag, you can put that in there. These types of packaging materials with the gray inside from Amazon, or this from thrift books, or maybe you get prescriptions in them, just cut off the paper with your address, throw that in the trash, and you can recycle this at your local grocer. Cereal bag inserts, again, shake out the crust and the dust, and you can put that in your plastics recycling. The wrap, air bubble pillows that come in packaging can go in there. You squeeze out all the air, cut a hole in them, get rid of all that air, and bubble wrap can go in, unless you want to keep that and pop it. That's always fun. And the wrap around your toilet paper rolls or Gatorade can or Gatorade bottles, water bottles, they all have this plastic wrap. That can go with that program. And the pesky little 6-pack plastic carriers. We ask that you cut them apart to help our wildlife in case they do get their hands on it, but that can go in. So I take this bag of these, what we call flexible packaging, to my grocer, Meijer. And interesting enough, Meijer has worked with a company here in Michigan to use these plastics in their pavement for one of their stores in Holland for their very own parking lot. That does it for this time. Don't forget, if you have any questions, you can visit rosoc.org.
Great news. The Beach Road project will be completed in June of this year. There are also other projects slated to begin this summer. City Engineer Lee Schultz brings us up to date on all the road projects.
So for 2022 new projects, we have approximately $18 million worth of new investments, mostly roads, some water main work. The first project that's going to start up is going to be on Shiawassee. It's all of Shiawassee that's going to be rehabilitated. West of Beach, it's going to be asphalt rehabilitation. East of Beach Road, it's going to be concrete slab repairs. Nice amenity that's going in with that project west of Beach. There's going to be a new multi-use asphalt pathway built on the south side of Shiawassee between Inkster and Beach Road. So that'll be a nice amenity, I think, for the neighborhood so people can get out and safely walk along Shiawassee. That's a $2.8 million project right there.
Okay, spring has sprung, and we know what that means. With great weather comes some rainy days and some muddy ground, and that gives us some muddy dogs walking through the door. And the last thing we want is that mud being tracked through the entire house. So there's some things that we can do to combat that. You know, we want our dogs to get out there and have a good time, and of course we can't avoid them needing to go out even when it's raining just to go to the bathroom. So that mud is going to happen. So when mud happens, you want to have something that you can intercept them with at the door. We've got some solutions. One of them happens to be the Dirty Dog doormat. The Dirty Dog doormat is a fantastic mat that really is literally the size of a doormat. It has these fine little microfiber material in it that's 5 to 10 times more absorbent than regular towel. Does a really good job of absorbing the moisture. You also can use it as a towel when you catch a dog at the door to wipe down the mud on its legs and its feet. It works really, really well. My dog loves it. He knows to stay and stop right at the door so I can wipe him down. The next thing is the Mud Buster. This is pretty cool. This is something that you fill up with warm water and a little bit of dish soap. You leave it right at the door. And what you can do is just stick the entire paw and the leg in there, and you swish it around and shake it up and down, and it gets the extra mud and debris out of there. This thing will be really gross, but you'd rather have it be gross inside here than throughout your entire house. And of course, in any of our stores, we've got tons of grooming wipes for in between baths and shampoos, and we do have do-it-yourself dog wash baths in the store as well. So let's allow those dogs to continue to have a great time outside, but keep the house clean at the same time.
Again from Poet Animal Rescue. Today we are featuring Odyssey. She is a pit mix, 2.5 years old, and she is absolutely wonderful. I take her to the store with me. She's great in the car. She's great waiting in the car. She's fun, loving, wants to be your lap dog, as you can tell. I think with the right introduction, she might be okay with another dog, or being the only dog she would be great with too. We've had her about, I don't know, maybe 2 months, month and a half. She's been fixed, she's up to date on shots, and she's ready for her forever home. So if you're looking for the perfect dog, totally housebroken, fun, active, loves everything, and that's about it. She's ready to go, and you will absolutely not be disappointed. All right, guys? Again, we're always looking for help. We're looking for volunteers. Take care of these beautiful dogs. Also looking for donations. Right now we're looking for detergent, either Tide or Gain. We're looking for Clorox bleach, and always looking for financial donations. Help us with our 2 heartworm positive dogs that we have. So again, thank you for listening, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.
There's always time for a workout, even if you're sitting at home on the couch or sitting behind a desk at work. Our friends at Surgeon's Choice show us exercises that you can fit in anytime.
The first exercise we're going to talk about is called a seated knee lift. As you can see, I'm sitting on a fully inflated yoga ball, and my hands will be at my side. With your knees bent, you're going to lift your legs off of the ground, hold, and bring it back down, just like this. Now, if that was too easy for you, you can always add an ankle weight. If that was too hard for you, you can always sit in a chair with good back support. The second exercise we're going to talk about is called a seated ab crunch. Again, I'm sitting on a fully inflated yoga ball, but this time my hands will be behind my head. Make sure you have the ability to kind of walk your legs out, lean back, and then lean forward. Now, we recommend that you do this about 10 times, 1 to 2 sets for beginners, and as you feel more comfortable, you can progress. If this was too easy for you, then you can always lay back down on a mat and do a complete full ab crunch. If this was too hard for you, then you can move your hands out in front of you like this or at your side. All right, next we're going to talk about strengthening exercises for your upper body. Of course, we all hear biceps and triceps, but how do you actually get them stronger? Biceps, we're using a 2-pound weight. All we're doing is curls. So you're going to hold the weight in your hand and lift all the way to your shoulder and bring it all the way back down to your knees, just like this. Now, if this is too easy for you, of course we can increase the weights. If this is too hard for you, we can eliminate the weights. Next is the triceps. So here, our starting position is with your hand bent behind your head, and you extend up with the weight and back down. Again, we recommend that you start with 10 repetitions with each exercise, 1 to 2 sets, and as you feel more comfortable, we'll progress. Last, we're going to talk about lower body strengthening exercises. As you can see, I've got 1 pound weights around my ankle, and again, I'm seated on a yoga ball with my knees bent. This exercise is called the long arc quad. All you're doing is kicking out from the knee, toes up, holding for a few seconds, and bringing it right back down. Again, straightening that knee, toes up to the ceiling, holding, and then slowly returning to your starting point. Okay? Now, if this is too hard, you can remove the weights. If this is too easy, we can upgrade the weights. The last exercise we're going to talk about is hip flexion or marching. So again, seated position, ankle weights down below, lifting 1 at a time. Now you can do this alternating, both legs, or you can do 10 repetitions with 1 leg, and then completely switch to the other side. 1 to 2 sets, as we mentioned earlier, and as you get stronger, we can upgrade that amount. Thanks for joining us today at Surgeon's Choice Medical Center.
World Medical Relief is hosting health days to provide tests and vaccines to increase our chances of combating COVID-19.
We have the Wayne Health Mobile Unit, and they are, among other things, doing some basic health screenings, including screenings for blood pressure and cholesterol, and they're doing all manner of COVID-related medical type things. You can get tested, you can get your initial shot, you can get boosters, and you can even get your second booster if you are 55 and older or immunocompromised.
That brings us to an end to this edition of 15 News. You can re-watch this episode on Facebook, YouTube, or on our channel. I'm Jim Hall. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jim. That's Jim Hall from City Cable 15 of Southfield. Of course, you can keep up with all of the news making headlines in Southfield and watch more 15 News Update with Jim Hall by going to our Megacast page and clicking on City Cable 15. Of course, on our Megacast page, you'll find more information about all of our partnering TV stations and learn more about their news programming, such as 15 News Update in your local community. Recently, the team at My Michigan TV, another partner of us here on the Megacast Network, was at the Mackinac Policy Conference, where Governor Gretchen Whitmer and leaders from right here in Oakland County, such as Executive David Coulter, had extensive conversations on making Michigan, which of course is home to the Motor City, the future manufacturing state. We have that now for you on this edition of the Megacast from our friends at My Michigan TV.
Well, greetings. Again, Michigan is making history. So we are thrilled to be here to announce an exciting initiative with the World Economic Forum. You know, Michigan is the state that has made things work. We have put the world on wheels for generations. We've made life-changing, life-saving medicines. And we've always been focused on solving problems in a creative way. And today, again, Michigan takes center stage on the global stage. We're proud to welcome the World Economic Forum's new center here in Michigan as a signal that our state continues to lead North America, and I would argue the world, into the next generation of high-tech manufacturing. Through the center, the U.S. Center and programs like our Industry 4.0 initiative with Automation Alley and the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center, we are strengthening our leadership in advanced manufacturing and entrepreneurship, not only today, but for generations to come. We're not only creating great jobs, we're creating great job markets. And we couldn't be more honored to partner with our corporate partners, the World Economic Development Forum, Automation Alley, and others. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to the Honorable Gretchen Whitmer, Governor of the state of Michigan.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Quentin. And you can tell we've got a phenomenal leader at the MEDC who's helping spearhead a lot of the great work that's happening across our state. You know, for generations, Michigan has been driving technological advancements that reach every part of the globe, from cars to life-saving medicines. And this is true in our strong defense, our automotive, and our aerospace sectors, to growth in advanced materials like plastics and lightweight carbons, machinery manufacturing for automation and robotics. We're changing the way that things are made in the 21st century and creating good-paying jobs in the process. The World Economic Forum's decision to put their U.S. Center for Advanced Manufacturing in Michigan is proof of our strengths, and it will increase the gravitational pull for jobs and for talent and for investment. And Our manufacturing and design heritage and our innovative, hardworking people are creating unmatched opportunities for businesses of all sizes to grow and to thrive in the state of Michigan. So when any business in the world, specifically mobility, electrification, and advanced manufacturing, is deciding where to expand, I hope all know the answer is very clear. It's in the state of Michigan. So I'm awfully glad to be here with all of you and appreciate the partnership. This is an exciting opportunity for our state, and we'll continue to put our foot on the accelerator. Handing it to you, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Governor. We're extremely proud in Oakland County that the first and only U.S. Advanced Manufacturing Center of the World Economic Forum is going to be right here in Michigan, in our county. And its goal, of course, is to support the state, our region, and frankly, North America in increasing the use of advanced manufacturing. So I hope this sends a message to the world that Michigan is no longer the Rust Belt, right? Tied to this antiquated notion of assembly lines and shuttered factories. By embracing the innovation that the World Economic Forum embraces and the new technologies, along with this new center in Troy, Michigan at Automation Alley, we're poised to lead the nation and frankly the world in advanced manufacturing. So Oakland County is going to invest $3 million over the next 3 years to support this center, and we couldn't be more excited to do it because we think this will directly benefit the more than 2,500 small and mid-sized manufacturing companies in Oakland County, but not just Oakland County, our region and our state. And so that's why this is so important. We leaned into this during COVID, working with our partner Automation Alley and our manufacturing companies by launching something that we called Project Diamond. It's a fancy term for something that's very simple, but part of this advanced manufacturing. You know those 3D printers that you hear about and that you've seen? They're so critical to helping our manufacturers get up to speed in Industry 4.0. Let me give you an example of one of the companies. I visited them in Rochester Hills, Air and Liquid Systems. They make fasteners that before they got the printer from Automation Alley and Oakland County, a fastener used to cost them about $98 to produce a fastener. Now with their 3D printer, they're about $2.45. So it's a game changer in terms of the cost, but also the speed, because these printers are connected to other printers at other companies. So they can now win work and contracts for larger orders than they would have been able to do on their own because they're connected to a network. And that's part of the beauty of Industry 4.0 is that you're part of a network of other manufacturers, right? By the way, another example, it's not just about producing things like fasteners, but we have a company now called Total Door in Waterford that's actually making a piece that goes into the tourniquets that are going to the Ukraine to help the people on the front lines in the Ukraine. So these things can be used for a lot of different reasons. So needless to say, we're really excited about having this in Oakland County and in Michigan to show the world that Michigan can lead in advanced manufacturing and the revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, which is Industry 4.0. So with that, I want to turn it over to our executive, the executive director of Automation Alley in Troy, Michigan, where this center will be located, Tom Kelly.
Thanks, Dave. And I just want to say one thing. Woohoo! I am so excited. I'm really sorry to all the live streamers. It's good news. That's right. Yeah. So listen, thank you to the leadership of Governor Whitmer. Thank you to Dave Coulter. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Dave Woodward for Oakland County Commission. Is he here? Yes, Dave has been such a great leader on this. And this didn't happen overnight. This has been a methodical, very carefully orchestrated relationship that we have built with the World Economic Forum over many, many years. And they look to us as leaders, and we look to them as leaders. And it's mutual. Michigan created the second industrial revolution. We created so much wealth that Detroit was the richest city in the world at one point. And we lost our way a little bit over the last couple of years, not by our own doing, but because the world changed around us and China came on board. And we had to deal with a lot of major issues in manufacturing. Well, guess what? The fourth industrial revolution is about stitching together the economy where everybody is able to be digitized and sharing high value add work. That plays right to our strengths. And so I'm so delighted that our governor, our local leaders, the World Economic Forum, they believe in Michigan, and so do I. I'm the most enthusiastic person you'll ever meet when it comes to manufacturing, and by damn, we're going to change the world again together. So I'll pass it over to Francisco.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, thank you very much for that great intro. I mean, for those who are not familiar with it, the World Economic Forum is an international organization for public-private cooperation. We're working with government, businesses, civil society, and academia to address some of the most pressing challenges that our society and the world is facing today. And within that framework, I lead our work and stream on advanced manufacturing and value chains. And what I should say is that today is a very special day for us because in collaboration with Automation Added, we are launching this new center partnering with the state and the government of Michigan and Oakland County, which we believe can make a huge difference when it comes to helping companies and communities transform the world's advanced manufacturing. Advanced manufacturing, with today, it's unlocking not just efficiency, productivity, but also innovation, growth, and also enabling the transition towards sustainability and workforce engagement, which is extremely important. So with that, I look forward to the conversation. I would like to introduce Cynthia Hutchinson, who is a BPS Automation Allied, a very special person who spent a full year with us at the forum and will be taking over the role of head of the new center. So Cynthia, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Leave that for Avery in a minute. Thank you all. Let me make sure I'm on. You're on. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you very much for the introduction, Francisco. That was very kind. It's wonderful to be here. This is a big day. About 3 or 4 years ago, we had what felt like a relatively informal conversation with the World Economic Forum in which there was a discussion that perhaps after the Great Recession of 2008, 9, and 10, Michigan had retained more manufacturing prowess than any other state in the region. So here we are, we fast forward 3 or 4 years, and we're at this moment. So now I want to ask a couple questions around the table. So Governor, did you expect that we would become that big a fulcrum that would be managing, and essentially the word you used was similar to mine, is I say we're a magnet for growth for Michigan. Did you see that that opportunity was coming, and how do you think this center can magnify our strengths?
Did I foresee this coming? Well, any governor worth their salt has got to say yes to that answer, right? I mean, every Michigander knows the incredible strengths and unique things that we offer as a state. I think it was fantastic, the relationships that have been built over the years to ensure that an investment like this, opportunity like this happens in Michigan. It's should be a source of pride for everyone, whether you are, regardless of what sector of our economy you're in. Advanced manufacturing is what's powered the state, what grew the middle class, what made us, the arsenal of democracy. And the world has changed. We're all a little longer in the tooth. There's a lot of developments that have happened, and yet the core of who we are remains the same. And I think that's why the opportunity in front of us is, I see it, I'm excited about it, and I'm grateful that we're here in the partnership that got us here.
Thank you. Dave Coulter.
Yeah.
So I know Oakland County has been a huge participant, huge active supporter of Automation Alley for many, many years. They actually founded Automation Alley, but Oakland County is a big partner. Now with the advanced manufacturing, of course, I was going to ask you to tell me what you're doing for your businesses in Oakland County. You already shared some of that, but tell me on a broader scale, how critical is advanced manufacturing to the county's success?
Yeah, we saw this even during COVID. As we were giving grants to our manufacturers, we said, let's not just give them money, let's give them the tools they need to compete in the future. So they got printers from us, is more so than they got money from us. And we've distributed 250 of them already, but we're going to do a whole lot more, and that's like the company I talked to you about. But the next step, and what this partnership and others like this are going to allow us to do, as Tom said, is to allow them to be part of a network, because that's the real exponential game changer in this. It's one thing to have that kind of printer or the other kinds of technology to reduce your costs and speed to market, but to be able to network with other manufacturers, to be able to win these bigger contracts all over the world. And that's the thing. This is going to be the only center, just to be clear, in North America. And so this center will be connected, as you know, around the world to connect our businesses here, and not just Oakland County, but in the state. This is, I think, just as exciting for the state as it is for our county to connect them in this new advanced space so that they can compete. And I just think it's a critical game changer for our manufacturing sector, which I've said since I become county executive, I'm still bullish on. Manufacturing is still an important sector, but you got to stay ahead of the curve. And as you know, and I'm sure we're going to talk to you, you got to stay ahead of the curve because the game is changing fast.
Thank you. Thank you. Tom Kelly. Tom Kelly is my CEO, by the way. I work directly for Tom as well.
So it better be a good question.
There's always pressure on these questions, so I give him the hard stuff. No, Tom, so about 6 years ago, when you took over as leader at Automation Alley, you made a dramatic pivot into direct Industry 4.0. Talk a little bit about what motivated that and how critical you thought that was to the region.
Well, what I saw happening was this transformation that was coming, the digitization of everything. You saw what was happening in other industries. You saw what Uber was doing in the transportation space, what Netflix is doing, what Amazon was doing to retail, and on and on and on and on. And manufacturing had always used technology. But the risk, there's risk. The governor knows this. That's why we're doing this whole Industry 4 initiative for smalls. The risk is that we've always used technology as a tool to manage the business that we know. And today, technology is the business model. And that is a fundamental shift. Every business in the world has to become a software company first that happens to be an X. Right? Jamie Dimon says we're a software company that happens to be in finance. Mary Barra has said, I always want to be known if I get to retirement, I want to look back and people view GM as a software company that happens to make automobiles. It's not just for the bigs. Every company has to become a software first business. And in manufacturing, that's what we see. So that's why we started down this path. We said, Michigan has all the opportunity and skills to make this transition. It's actually, manufacturing is coming back to us. But what we saw in the state, and thanks to the governor for saying, no, we're going to focus on manufacturing, what we were seeing in the state was, let's diversify away. The world has changed. Manufacturing's for, low-cost countries. At the same time, this is what happens. You're always fighting the last war. As manufacturing was starting to come back to high value-add areas, there was a talk of maybe getting out of this. So together with the governor and the county and with the World Economic Forum, we saw this path as a good path for Michigan. The last thing I'll say is manufacturing accounts for 20% of GDP and 15% of employment. It's carrying the weight of 5% of something else somewhere. It's still the place to be for high value, high wealth creation. And that's why we focus on it. So that's what I saw, and that's what the governor saw, and it's been a great ride so far. We're just getting started.
Fantastic. At the end of this, everybody's going to know a lot about advanced manufacturing because I'm going to ask everybody a various take on it. So, Francisco, the World Economic Forum is so well known for social issues and the variety of programs that they do. People know World Economic Forum associated with hunger, with solving big global problems that no one entity can solve themselves. So as a public-private partnership with that level of commitment, how do you see the advanced manufacturing sector feeding into dramatic changes in the world?
Well, absolutely. I think that what we should mention before is that when you look at the global outlook, right, the combination of the pandemic, COVID-19, with climate change, with the geopolitical tensions that we are seeing now, I mean, manufacturing is trying to sail through a perfect storm, right, that it's unprecedented. We never saw the level of disruptions that we are seeing today. And that storm comes, of course, with big challenges, but also opportunity. And advanced manufacturing can be part of the solution. Just look at how some companies here in the state of Michigan, but all across the US and across the world, are using advanced manufacturing technologies to unlock efficiency, productivity, enable growth, and at the same time, as I mentioned before, enabling the transition towards more sustainable production process and systems, and engaging workers in new ways when it comes to unlocking productivity. I think what is important is that to unlock that potential that advanced manufacturing brings to the table, we need collaboration, public-private collaboration, and that's needed so that companies can share best practices, lessons learned, align on the next strategies that need to be put in place. And also, Tom, you mentioned that point before, to make sure that no one is left behind. I think supporting small and medium-sized businesses, which is part of the work that Automation ID is doing in coming on board on this transformational journey, is extremely important as well.
Thank you. AB. So we hadn't introduced AB Goen, president of Hemlock Semiconductor. And I don't think there's anybody in this room who doesn't know we've had a semiconductor shortage for quite some time. Come on, AB, we need some help from you. Now, talk to me a little bit about your industry, how it was impacted, how it got into this situation, and what you're doing going forward.
Thank you, Cynthia, for the question. So for people who don't know Hemlock Semiconductor, we're based in Hemlock, which is in mid-Michigan. And we've been around since 1961. So we make ultra pure, hyper pure polysilicon, which is the fundamental building block for the silicon chip in the semiconductors, for the solar panels, and for the battery storage. So we're the key linchpin to all of the growth in this industry. So advanced manufacturing is what we've been doing. But now what we're involved in, advanced manufacturing industry 4.0 is all about using robotics. So we're moving into that. We're using a lot of big data, lot of analytics, and we're doing some work on 3D for our maintenance spares. So for us, this is crucial for us to stay competitive, because this really affects the as the chips that the semiconductor customers like Intel are getting more and more sophisticated. We need to have a more pure form of polysilicon, and to be able to do that, we need to run big data and process control on this thing. So 4.0 is crucial for our industry, and this center, I think, it's great for Michigan. It will bring R&D capability. It will bring lots of skilled jobs here, and it will keep Michigan in the forefront of the manufacturing capital of the United States. So I'm very excited personally that the center's come in. I want to thank the governor for making this happen with MEDC and the other folks over here. So thank you.
Thank you. I think I've got this.
We're going back around?
We're going back around.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I am not keeping track of time, so I'm hoping Courtney. I think Courtney.
I guarantee my staff.
I guarantee they are too. Thank you. They've been awesome. No, I was just going to ask you again a little bit more about. It's really exciting. We're really essentially launching the center on Monday. So Monday, June 6th, this opens, and we have an entirely new business model here where the World Economic Forum is partnered with Automation Alley, which is funded by the MEDC in Oakland County to support this exciting center. And I want to think a little bit, ask you how we can attract other states and people here to make sure that they see what we can do. We'll be exporting we know this is a national center. We expect people from around the U.S. to be part of it. But in what way do you see it as being an attraction that makes people see what's special about Michigan?
I think as we look at Automation Alley, we look at this new center, these will be, this is an additional tool in our toolbox as we tell the Michigan story, as we showcase some of the phenomenal cutting edge research that is happening, collaboration, manufacturing. We just cut the ribbon on the FRIB at Michigan State. This is, I think most people, and I would include me in them, we're not talking about how to split atoms and move electrons and just the incredible things that are happening at the FRIB. We don't talk about that every single day, but we really need to get comfortable in the space of promoting some of the great opportunities that Michigan has to give. And Quentin and I we work in conjunction with stakeholders at the municipal level who are already in semiconductors as we are refining how we draw in additional investment into Michigan. We want to make sure Hemlock can grow in Michigan. We want to ensure that others come to Michigan to solve problems, and this is going to be another important tool in our whole tool shed of things that we have to offer that you can't find anywhere else. And I know we touched a minute on COVID, and no one wants to talk about COVID less than I do, but I will say that one of the lessons of the last couple of years is that it is a homeland security issue if we're not doing advanced manufacturing in the U.S. and in Michigan in particular. We do it better than anyone else. This is another opportunity for us to tell that story, and I think that that's going to be great across industry, and that's why we're really excited about this development.
Thank you. That's a fabulous insight, the Homeland Security issue. Without truly having track of time, I want to make sure we have time for media. So should we go to a little bit of a Q&A?
Yeah, that would be perfect. Yes, sir. If anyone from the media has any questions, please let us know. Now's the time. We'd be happy to take them.
You explained everything really well. Do you have goals for how many new jobs, how many businesses you want to reach out to?
Data guy, what do you think?
Yeah, that's right. So we'll be putting those together, but the idea is first we need to stand up the center, and then we need to attract national and international large manufacturers who help set the agenda with us. So it would be disingenuous to say, hey guys, come in, it's a trap, this is what you got to do together. What we need to be able to do is we have to have an adult conversation and say, this is where the world is going. This is how it's changing. And by the way, what's interesting, if you ask any CEO, and I won't call you out for this, but if you ask any CEO, they don't know where the world is going either. It is changing that rapidly. For the last 50 years in manufacturing, maybe even 100 years, it was very predictable. You had a market, you tried to manage your supply to what the demand was, and all of that's going out the window because while you're managing supply and demand, new technology is changing the business model entirely, which makes it obsolete. And so the jobs will come, I have no doubt, because we are positioned to create those jobs. In other words, we have all the tools. We just have to have our industries recognize that they need to change faster. That's the risk we face as a state, is that we created so much wealth around Industry 2.0 that wealth, we want to protect it. We don't want to change it. Why would I go over there? I'm making money over here, Tom. And that's the message we need the press to help us tell, is that we have to change faster. And that's what this center does. It creates change at an accelerated rate.
And I will give one other statistic, though, because this is about attracting work to Michigan and to Oakland County in particular for me, but it's also about retaining it. We have 67,000 workers in small and medium-sized manufacturing in Oakland County. 67,000. So preserving those jobs is going to require us to do this, in addition to the job attraction. So I just want to point out this is still a significant, as you mentioned, a significant part of the economy in our state and in our county.
Yes, and this might be for Governor Whitmer as a statewide issue, but we keep hearing about these plans about adding jobs, adding jobs, adding jobs. We're already facing a worker shortage in a lot of areas. Is there any worry that we're just diluting the pool even further and creating more of an issue, or how do we fill the jobs that we have open and still add more?
I think workforce is on front of mind for everyone. Everyone at this conference will tell you that they are concerned about that. Part of the work that we need to be doing as a state is to close our skills gap. We're making great strides, frankly. When I took office, I set our goal at 60 by 30. 60% of our adult workforce with a post-secondary certificate or degree by 2030. We were at 45% when we started. Despite all of the challenges we've had, it's up to over 49% now, so we're making strides, like real measurable strides, where we're able to upskill our population, get them into better paying jobs. Ultimately, though, we're going to have to work together to grow our population. Holding on to young people, luring talent to Michigan from around the globe, but also from around the country. We've got a powerful story to tell, a high quality of life, a low cost of living. If you talk to Rick Wallace from KLA, he'll tell you he has an easier job recruiting to their second headquarters, which is in Washtenaw County, Michigan, than they do in their primary headquarters in Silicon Valley. We've got a unique story to tell, but obviously this has got to be all hands on deck for us to focus on growing this population, making Michigan a place where more people want to reside. 21% of the world's fresh water. There are unique things about this state that are great selling points, but I think we've all got to buy into and grab onto that goal and work toward making sure we achieve it.
If I could just add, because I think the governor makes a great point about growing our population. You know, one of the advantages is this is going to connect us globally, and so that we can attract foreign investment, right? In Oakland County, for instance, we would have actually declined in population over the past decade had it not been for foreign-born residents. So we have got to begin to embrace foreign-born residents and companies in a much more aggressive way if we're going to grow as a state in a region, which we need to do to compete to other regions. So I think this kind of center exactly positions us to try to do that more.
Perfect. We have time for one more.
So what is the relationship between inflation and manufacturing progress, especially when it comes to making sure that when people come in for the job, they're given a competitive salary, and on top of that, making sure that we have the materials for this manufacturing?
So inflation is a result of too few too many dollars chasing too few goods, right? And that's happening in the labor pool as well. Industry 4.0 is the solution for wage inflation. Remember, in the 60s and 70s, we all know automation was a dirty word in Michigan because it was associated with job loss, right? It was an equation where if a robot came in, labor went away. And so we got steeled to that said automation is a bad thing. In the fourth industrial revolution, this is again how the world has changed and we're still fighting the battle of the past. Automation, there are no people to do the work. So if you can automate and get more productive, you can pay those people higher wages for better jobs. That's what we want to have happen in Michigan. We want to create an environment where we can pay the very highest wages because we're the most productive. And how you become the most productive is you actually create automation and efficiency. So these collaborative robots that are going in all over, these are a good thing because they allow our manufacturers to grow their wages faster than those that are not putting in those robots.
Just maybe one comment. One of the things that we learned throughout the pandemic is that the future of manufacturing is not about technology, but technology and people. Companies are trying to find a new balance in between automation and workforce augmentation through advanced manufacturing technologies. Technologies can play a huge role when it comes to upskilling and reskilling that can help them drive productivity and competitiveness, which is one of the priorities.
And I want to close and thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the governor's team for organizing this, thank the press because we need you to tell our story. We're glad you're all here, and thanks to each of our speakers.
Thank you. That and more coverage from the Mackinac Policy Conference on My Michigan TV's website, mymytv.com. We're going to take a break on your radio homes for the Megacast 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. On the other side, we'll continue on with the program and kick off the Michigan Megacast with Lucy Hale from the Michigan Science Center. That's up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there's a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there is a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org. Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft. To learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link where you'll learn more information about all of our partnering stations, including My Michigan TV. There's always a lot going on at the Michigan Science Center and ways that you can learn more about a number of different scientific phenomena and engage in activities that are fun for you and the entire family. Joining us now to talk about that is Lucy Hale from the Michigan Science Center. Lucy, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Tyler. It's a pleasure to be here.
Appreciate having you on. So a lot of interesting events always going on and exhibits always going on over at the Michigan Science Center. Right now, the one that is coming up or going on is Popnology. Can you tell us about Popnology?
Yeah, so Popnology is a special exhibit. It is with us through August 11th, and it opens, our grand opening is May 25th, although we have a soft opening for our members today and tomorrow, and then for the general public on Sunday to help us test it out. And it's all about the intersection of science, technology, Hollywood, and science fiction. So it is about how our pop culture inspires technology and how technology inspires pop culture. It is so much fun. It's very hands-on. It's very engaging. And best of all, it's free with admission.
So what was the inspiration behind bringing Popnology to the Michigan Science Center?
Well, we really wanted to have, you know, we've had such a rough couple of years between the pandemic and being closed last summer. And so we really just wanted to have something fun and to celebrate being reopened and having all systems go and to welcome the public back to our museum and to downtown Detroit. And so we had the last minute opportunity to take this exhibit in. It was really a huge effort of the team to get it in from 3 weeks to signing contract to arriving, which is not normal. But it's been amazing. It's been an amazing experience for us all to have it here. And we really just wanted something to encourage families to come on down and get excited about science. You know, our mission is to put people at the center of science, and this exhibit totally does that.
So, Lucy, you mentioned multiple times bringing in Popnology. So it is an outside exhibit that travels across the country, and it's being brought into the Michigan Science Center. So who makes Popnology, and how did the Michigan Science Center end up getting in contact with these individuals?
Oh, that's a great question. So it's a company called Stage 9 that has developed this exhibit, and another company called EDG travels it throughout the country. So it has been at other museums, you know, throughout the continent since its inception. And so folks might have seen it in other cities. They might have seen it in Michigan a few years ago. It was in a different part of the state. But it's pretty typical for our museum business to bring exhibits like this in. And we have wonderful exhibit partners that we work with who are always developing really exciting things for us to bring to our audiences, to get folks excited about what it is that we do as a science museum and a hands-on science center. And so this is a company that we've worked with in the past. They're wonderful to work with. We know they develop high quality exhibits. And so even though it was a short timeline, it was a no-brainer for us to take it.
We're joined by Lucy Hale, the Chief Business Officer at the Michigan Science Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information can be found on their website, mi-sci.org. That's mi-sci.org for more information on the Michigan Science Center and events such as Popnology, which will also be great for photo opportunities for families, especially for those kids that are big fans of some of these different pop culture icons in movies and in TV shows and science fiction, and would like to get a picture with some of their favorite characters. Can you tell us about some of the opportunities that will be there for great photos and making great memories?
Yeah, well, I hope you can see the DeLorean over my shoulder. And so we do have a replica of the Time Machine DeLorean from Back to the Future, and that's a great photo op. Alien is in the exhibit. We've got some cool characters, some cool droids from Star Wars that are in the exhibit, Terminator, and a really neat Mars experience that has some cool backdrops. And then there's also a photo booth, so folks can take pictures in the photo booth it's got a gray screen behind it, not a green screen, but a gray screen, and you can send those to yourself. You can put them on your social media. It is a very fun exhibit, lots of photo opportunities. And you mentioned these sort of icons of movies. You know, we're really hoping the movies that are featured in the exhibit are, you know, really of our parents, the folks who are parents right now. And so we're hoping that it sparks some conversations and memories sort of with multi-generations, and really hope that we get kids inspired about about technology and careers in technology, which was a really big reason why our sponsor, Signal Restoration, came in, because they're scientists and engineers, and they want the next generation to be inspired to work in those careers too. So it's fun and it's hands-on, but it is also some great technology that folks will get experience with.
We're joined by Lucy Hale, the Chief Business Officer at the Michigan Science Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Lucy, how long will Popnology be at the Michigan Science Center, and how can people get access to this exhibit?
Yeah, it'll be here through August 11th, and folks can go onto our website, www.mi-sci.org, and reserve tickets. Like I said, it is free with general admission, so you just need to get your general admission tickets. You can walk up to, we don't require advanced reservations, but we do recommend them. We expect it will be very busy this summer, and so we want to make sure folks are able to come in. We do have capacity limits on our building still, not so much because of the pandemic, but just because of our fire code. And so we want folks to make sure that they are getting their tickets in advance if they're able to.
We're joined by Lucy Hale, the Chief Business Officer of the Michigan Science Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Again, more information on Popnology and other events and exhibits at the Michigan Science Center can be found on their website, mi-sci.org. That's mi-sci.org for more information on the Michigan Science Center. And so, Popnology, not the only great event and exhibit happening at the Michigan Science Center coming up. You also have a big robot exhibit that's planned. Can you talk to us about what robotics fans can expect at the Michigan Science Center very soon?
Oh, sure. So the robot components are actually part of Popnology. So there are quite a few robots featured in the exhibit, and experiences where people can learn how robots work, and also about artificial intelligence. And so there's 5 different stations where people will get to activate robots and do a task with them and complete a game with them. And so that is very, very fun. We have a lot going on this summer. The other really exciting news is that our IMAX theater is reopening. And so that's the other really big thing we have on our minds and in our hearts. We're very excited about that.
We're joined by Lucy Hale, the Chief Business Officer at the Michigan Science Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. There's also a really exciting group of games that are also available at the Michigan Science Center. Can you tell us about some of the gaming experiences for people of all different ages at the Michigan Science Center at this time?
Yeah, so our whole museum is really hands-on, and so there are lots of great experiences throughout the halls where people can really activate learning through play, whether it's building paper airplanes or engaging with our Earth, Wind, and Weather exhibits. And then in Popnology itself, there are some video games. So we do have an Oculus Rift station, so people can participate in that component of gaming and that type of gaming technology using virtual reality. And then we also have a fun little Easter egg. I'm not going to tell you where it is in the exhibit, but if anybody's a Donkey Kong fan, we've sort of tucked some arcade games around one of the corners, and you can experience some historic arcade games in Popnology. And then there's 2 different Mars mission games that people can complete. One is a Mars launch, and one is an actual mission, using technology to complete a mission in a simulated Mars environment. And so we hope folks enjoy those games and really and learn a little bit about the real science and technology behind Mars exploration through them.
Another great exhibit you can go to at the Michigan Science Center and learn a lot about a technology we see so often in our society are one of these things, one of these cell phones. We have a history of cell phones. It's called Cell Phones Deconstructed, looking back into the year 1983 and investigating all the items that eventually led to smartphones over the years. Going all the way back to 1983, you're holding about 14 of these in your hand at one time. That's both in width and in depth. So tell us about that Cell Phones Deconstructed exhibit.
That's actually my favorite exhibit in the whole Popnology, which is funny because it's so hands-on, and there's so much you can do with gaming and robots like we were talking about. And this exhibit is very much a diorama, which is a little bit old school for a museum or for a science center, but I love it because, first of all, I did not know that smartphone technology was developed in 1983. I thought it was a much more modern technology. And it's an image, a diorama of the last day before smartphone technology was developed. And it's a snapshot of someone's house, and everything in the exhibit, with the exception of a few decor items, are things that we now use our phones for. So music, calendars, calculators, other, how we pay for things. And so it's a really interesting exhibit. It sparks lots of conversations. We had a family up there yesterday. One of the parents was just howling with laughter, thinking about everything that they used to use that they now just use their phones for, talking to their kids about it, explaining what some of these things were to their kids, a rotary phone, for example. So it's really it's a really neat exhibit, and we hope it sparks lots of conversations and thought.
We're joined by Lucy Haley, Chief Business Officer of the Michigan Science Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on all these exhibits ongoing, including Popnology, the Big Robot exhibit, and the Cell Phones Deconstructed exhibit, and more at mi-sci.org. That's mi-sci.org for more information, or search the Michigan Science Center and look up more information on everything going on over there. And so there's a lot of other little mini exhibits and other activities also going on at the Michigan Science Center, and plenty of upcoming events for throughout the summer months to keep families engaged and kids learning while they're on their summer vacation from school. Can you give us a preview of some of these other upcoming events over at the Michigan Science Center coming up this summer?
Yeah, absolutely. So our IMAX reopens, our large dome theater, the IMAX reopens on June 15th for the general public. It opens June 11th and 12th for our members. And we have a big press event on June 9th for that. And we're very grateful to Magna Seating, who helped us redo our seats for that exhibit. So it is, or not exhibit, that theater. So it is an absolutely beautiful renovation that we've done. The seats, brand new carpet, and new painting and everything. It's a really, the IMAX is just looking phenomenal. And we're going to open that with two shows. One is a traditional IMAX show called Asteroid Hunters, which is about folks who look out for asteroids that may have a heavy impact on the Earth, and then a little bit about asteroid mining. And then we have a film called, or a laser show called Movie Madness. And so we are hearkening back to some of the films that are featured in Popnology and other very iconic films, and bringing that music into our IMAX through our laser show and laser experience. And it's a very family-friendly laser show, and so we'll be showing that during the day, so folks can come and enjoy that. And then we also are doing some events. Some of them are engaging with our partners. So Concert of Colors is happening again this summer in downtown Detroit and Midtown, and so we'll be part of that. We're very excited to partner with them again this year. And then we have some fun adult events that we're doing in the evenings, and so we haven't announced the date yet, but keep an eye out for a very fun 80s themed After Dark for 21 and up audiences that will be tied to some of the themes in Popnology, but really just celebrating the 80s in general, and all of our exhibits at the museum. And that date will be announced soon. And then again, we are a great place for families to come in the summer if they're looking for things to do to get their kids inspired about science. The ability to spend time together as a family, to come to our museum, is really important too. We are going to be bringing some food service back on site in June as well, so folks will be able to spend more time here at the museum. They won't have to leave to find lunch, which we're very excited about. And then we also are a wonderful place to spend when it's very hot outside too. You can definitely have a great time in our air-conditioned space. So that's really important too, we know, in the summer, especially with the humidity that we get here sometimes.
Lucy, before we let you go, anything else we haven't discussed today, or other things that are coming up at the Michigan Science Center that we should be aware of?
I don't think so. This was wonderful. Thanks for covering us and having us on today. We're really excited about this summer. It's going to be a great summer for all of us here in Detroit and at the Michigan Science Center.
More information can always be found on the Michigan Science Center's website, mi-sci.org. That's mi-sci.org to keep up to date on everything going on at the Michigan Science Center, including their films at their IMAX theater, which is now reopened as of last week, Thursday. More information always on their website. We thank Lucy for joining us. We're going to take a break on the Michigan Megacast. When we come back, we've been hearing so much lately about inflation, about increased gas prices, more expensive groceries, and so much more. What is inflation? What causes it? And how do we resolve this issue? We'll talk to financial advisor Rick Bloom up next on the Michigan Megacast.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends. want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water, and so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes, they stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there's a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org. Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft. To learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is financial advisor Rick Bloom from Bloom Advisors as we continue to have some questions in our economy, including inflation, gas prices, prices of other goods as the pandemic starts to really seemingly wind down, but these economic problems amount. We'll talk to him about all that and more. Rick, thank you very much for joining us again.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's always a privilege to be here.
I appreciate having you on the program with us. So we heard so much about all these different factors that are going into our current economic state here in the U.S. and certainly in the state of Michigan, whether it be gas prices, the prices of goods going up, inflation. So that just a general question would be, what is the state of our current economy at this time? Are we is it in good shape? Is it in bad shape? Somewhere in between that we are maybe teetering between good or bad?
Yeah, we're in that flux period right now. And it's important to realize that the economy is different than the stock market. And the reason is we measure the economy by GDP, and that takes into consideration all economic activity. 40 to 45% of all the economic activity in this country is small business. Well, the markets don't reflect small business. And so our economy is struggling right now, for a few different factors. One, which is surprising, is that some employers still can't hire employees. So especially a lot of small businesses are hurting, and we've seen it with restaurants closing early, changing hours of operation, is that they can't find people. And that really is hurting the economy. And then obviously inflation is the major problem right now. And that's, a supply and demand issue. There's limited supply and there's huge demand. And it was thought that maybe last summer we would see the end of inflation, but unfortunately it's still around this summer, and it's going to be around with us for a while.
As inflation continues to amount and it continues to have its impact on our economy and on the markets for various goods and items and services, how does it then take a greater toll on the economy, the longer that it is in such full effect as it is right now?
Well, you take a small business, for example, that doesn't have a lot of cushion. So what happens is they now, especially like with the employment situation, they have to raise their salaries and their wages they're paying their people, which takes away from the profits of the owner. The other aspect is raising prices, which we've seen a lot of small businesses do. And that causes your and I expenses to go up. We've also seen inflation, like you can call it shrink inflation. You go to the grocery store and you would buy a bag a year or two ago, it was much bigger than the same bag today, even though the cost has gone up. So we see inflation in a variety of different ways, but the bottom line, it's a supply and demand issue. And when we have high inflation, it really does affect small businesses, which is the lifeblood of our economy, more adversely than it does affect large businesses.
We're joined by Rick Bloom from Bloom Advisors, joining us on the Megacast. He is the financial advisor and also a Money Matters columnist with Home Life newspapers, joining us on the program today. And so, Rick, as we hear more about inflation, often the next thing we're hearing about, or something we're hearing about alongside inflation when it is in full effect and it's in the news, is recession. Can you explain to our audience what that may not be fully aware of what recession means, what it is, how an economy gets into recession, and how do they get out of it?
Well, the recession is an economic slowdown. We measure GDP, which is gross domestic product, which is the value of all goods and services consumed in America. When that number goes down for 2 quarters in a row, that's when they say it's an inflation. So it's a technical thing. It does appear that our economy is probably going to head into a recession next year. But I would tell people not all recessions are the same. We forget that 2 years ago we went into a recession at the beginning of the pandemic, and then it was over before anyone knew it. Things have a way of turning around relatively quickly. So I would tell people, just because we may go into a recession, that doesn't mean that you should panic or anything of that nature. Recessions are not normal, but they're not abnormal. And again, the last one we went through was 2 years ago and only lasted a month or two. So not all recessions are the same.
And so as you mentioned that, Rick, and I think what is maybe part of the issue where people have such concern when they hear recession is they go back to the last major recession we had, the Great Recession, right around the time and shortly after the time of the housing market crash in 2008 and around that time. And as they hear about that, they worry about their financial future. They worry about their ability to provide those basic needs for themselves and certainly for their families. So as they are approaching a potential for a recession, even if it's a short one like we had a couple of years ago at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, what precautions financially can people and families make to shoulder the load of a recession and the potential issues it could cause in their finances, or at least hiccups in their finances?
I tell you, the most important thing during a recessionary period is to get a hold of your expenses. You can't control your income, but you can control your expenses. And the sooner you can become more efficient with your expenses, that's going to get you through this recession. One thing I always tell people is go through all those streaming services that you subscribe to. determine which ones do you really need. I know people that have 3, 4 streaming services they never use anymore. So start getting rid of that. But for the average person, the way to get through this recession is to get a hold of your expenses and become more efficient with how you spend your money. Decide what you really need. That's what gets people through recession. And one of the things when you mentioned, the Great Recession, one of the things that where our economy's in a different position was back then, people were and corporations too, were very highly leveraged. Well, balance sheets are improved these days. And, we're not seeing the same type of carnage back then because people losing their houses, the whole bit. Most people have refinanced, they have equity in their homes. So from a fiscal standpoint, we're in a better position to handle a recession. The average person is in the average business than we were before the Great Recession. If you remember, before the Great Recession, you saw ads, borrow 125% on the value of your house, do this, do that. And we're not seeing that. And with so many people having low interest rates on their mortgages, they're in a much better position to handle this recession.
We're joined by Rick Bloom from Bloom Advisors. He's also a Money Matters columnist with Hometown Life magazine, newspapers as well. You can learn more information by visiting his website at bloomadvisors.com. That's bloomadvisors.com for more information, or visit hometownlife.com to read his Money Matters columns as well. And earlier, Rick, you had mentioned that when we're analyzing the strength of an economy, there's a difference between the economy and the stock market, and the strength of one may not be equal to the strength of the other, or it could be in some cases. And look at the stock market; it's been down a lot this year. Nasdaq down nearly 25%, a quarter in 2022. S&P 500 is in a 6-week losing streak, and is down about 16% below its all-time high. How do you assess the current state of the stock market, since you've already touched on the general economic state?
The stock market is volatile, and what inflation is doing to the stock market is eroding corporate profits, and then it's creating this fear aspect. And you have a lot of people selling out, which creates a supply and demand issue. The supply goes up, demand goes down, so prices are going down. There's a little bit of a panic out there today, and so the market is a little weak. But I would remind people 2 years ago, March 2020, the markets were down in the dumps. We were losing 2,000 points a day, which was a significant number, and everything looked bleak. Well, by the end of the year, markets had regained all their losses. So markets can turn around relatively quickly. We go through these periods of volatility, and sometimes they're not rational. When you do things in the short term, it's almost like gambling. So yes, the market is, having its trouble. But I would tell you, let's say that you're someone who just graduated college, starting your first job. I'm saying now's the time to invest your money for sure. We always tell people, like me, I go shopping when stores have sales. Well, Wall Street's having a sale, and so people should look at taking advantage of it. It's just not investing new money, but also one of the things people should do, Tyler, is to look at doing Roth conversions. Because you do a Roth conversion now, you're going to pay a lot less tax than if you did it at the end of last year. So I think what people need to do is look at taking advantage of these times, as opposed to trying to predict when the market's going to turn around. We've had many recessions. We've had many downturns in the market. 100% of the time, the markets have always come back, and they'll come back from this. So people should look at trying to take advantage of the down market we're having right now. And, one of the things that hurts the market is rising energy prices. Here in Michigan, we're now over $5 a gallon for gas.
We're joined by Rick Bloom from Bloom Advisors with us on the Michigan Megacast. You talked about the market volatility, the ups and the downs. It certainly has that. And then you look at certain aspects of the market, and when they have those big boom periods, you think about, okay, when is this momentum going to turn in the opposite direction, if not just simply correcting itself. And when you think about that, I look at the cryptocurrency market and how much of a sense of momentum it got in the last several years. Now it's starting to seem like it's correcting itself and having a little bit of a downturn that's affecting investors, particularly younger investors who got into cryptocurrency investments. Can you talk about the state of that market and give any tips to those that may be already investing or invested in cryptocurrency or interested in investing in cryptocurrency about the differences between strategizing for that market versus the general traditional, so to speak, stock market?
First of all, I would tell you that cryptocurrency is pure speculation as opposed to investing in stocks. And so you have to look at it as a much greater risk. It's a brand new investment. Most people have no understanding how it works. I tell the great majority of investors they ought to avoid things like Bitcoins and cryptocurrency. They're very difficult to understand. I mean, at one point we had Bitcoins over 60,000, and now it's down to in the 20,000. So they're very volatile. I generally tell investors to avoid it, especially the small guy. And one thing that you've run into with a lot of younger people, they've made a mistake, is they bought crypto, but they bought it on margin and they financed it. And I'm not a big fan of financing investments. I think that's, more like gambling. If I had like a Bitcoin, I wouldn't be selling it now because I think it's it's pretty low right now, and it'll eventually come back. But you have to have a long-term horizon. And there's so many things that could change with cryptocurrency, such as what is the government going to do? Are they going to have government regulations that can really hurt it? And the other thing people have to realize when they use crypto is there are certain tax issues that have to be reported to the IRS. And so you have to make sure that you comply with those IRS rules because it's not considered a currency for IRS purposes, which means every time you trade a Bitcoin, you're going to have to, report it. But I would tell most people they ought to avoid it. I have a firm belief, Tyler, that you should only invest in things that you understand. And I would tell you the great majority of people, even who deal with Bitcoins, don't understand it. So the average guy ought to avoid it because I don't think they have a chance of really making money on it. And that's what you want to do as an investor.
We're joined by Rick Bloom. He is a financial advisor with Bloom Advisors, and you can also view his Money Matters articles on Hometown Life newspapers as well. View those at hometownlifenewspapers.com. That's hometownlife.com for those articles, or bloomadvisors.com for more information on Rick and his team over at Bloom Advisors. Lastly, Rick, as money gets tighter, as people are cutting expenses, they're trying to maintain their lifestyle. Oftentimes, that means they're either going to be considering borrowing money, or they're going to move some of those expenses from paying in cash or paying with their with debit to paying with credit, and slowly but surely paying those things off. In that case, our credit card companies, when we have uncertain economic times like this, are they big winners in this? Is this something that's good for these companies, at least financially in the short term?
It is good for them for short term because people are going to carry more balances in their charge cards. It is not good for consumers. I always believe that you should never use your charge card to finance a purchase. It should be used for convenience purposes only. So I would tell people, you run that charge card should be the last thing. I'd even rather take out home equity loans that are going to be much more affordable. You're talking about the average charge card at 18.5%. And it's just hard to get out of that. So I think people should not be using their charge cards as a means of financing. They ought to be looking at all sorts of other options. Charge cards, and if you're going to use a charge card, make sure you shop it around and look for one that charges less interest, because it's worth the extra hassle to shop it around. So at least if you're using a charge card for financing, you're paying somewhat reasonable interest rates.
Yeah, it's a great tool also for building your credit score. If you use it correctly, and then that can also help you lowering your interest rates, not only on that charge card, but on other expenses as well.
And it's important for people to realize not all charge cards are the same. You know, if you're someone that pays your bills all the time, on time, the interest isn't important. The perks are. On the other hand, if you're someone that always carries a balance, the interest rate is probably the most important thing. So it's important to know how you use your charge card, so when you shop it around, you can find the right charge card for your own individual situation.
Rick, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insight on some of these complicated topics and giving people some advice so they can take those steps to ensure that their financial future is intact despite all the uncertainty in our current economy.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's always an honor to be here, Tyler. Thank you.
Appreciate having you on. More information on Bloom Advisors, to get in contact with them, ask them more questions at bloomadvisors.com. And again, he writes an article, a Money Matters article with Hometown Life newspapers that you can view at hometownlife.com. We're going to take a break on the Megacast. Coming up next, we will talk summer fun with John Witz, the event producer for Arts, Beats, and Eats. That's coming up next on the Michigan Megacast.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you did. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is a source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there is a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there's a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link. We'll learn more information about all of our partnering stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is John Witz. He's the event producer with Rock and Rides and Arts Beats and Eats, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. John, thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome, Tyler. A beautiful day out here, and it kind of puts you in the mood for bringing people together for some good times.
Yeah, the more I've looked outside recently and more I've been outside recently, it's really felt like we're back to a traditional Michigan summer, especially as we're seeing events coming back and those traditions coming back as well. One that is returning to Metro Detroit this summer is Rock and Rides Royal Oak. Can you tell us about this event, when it's happening, and what sort of fun people can engage in at this event?
Well, so we start this Thursday, June 16th through June 19th on Sunday. When you talk about Rock and Rides, you got to start with the rides and the family activities. There's 20 rides throughout the center of downtown Royal Oak, for all ages. You got Cliffhanger, the Sizzler, Super Slide, some kiddie rides like the merry-go-round, the Toontown, Treasure Island, and some for not the faint of heart like the Vertigo and more. So a big Ferris wheel. So you gotta, mention that. There's free arts and crafts as well. There's a kids stage during the day, and it's going to be a lot of fun, for the family for sure.
Yeah, great rides, also great music. Can you tell us about some of the musical acts that will be coming to the main stage and even to the other entertainment locations at this event?
Sure. So when you talk about, rock, the Rock and Rides, our big feature there is at the Soaring Eagle Casino stage. You have bands like the Corktown Popes and Damon Terrell and Power Play Detroit, Frame 42, Spiral Crush, so many different kinds of, rock, from classic to modern to alternative to indie rock, even with Strange Hearts. So, a lot of great, rock bands will be there, and especially on the Soaring Eagle stage. And then we also, when the rock stage isn't going, we have live DJs on the House of Dank stage. So, we have DJs that are brought to us from Movement Festival. We have other DJs as well. So we have DJ Catalyst, Drew Ruiz, DJ Dave, all sorts of, great, music vibes and energy coming out of that House of Dank stage. And that's all on 5th Street. So we go, rock to, kind of some great dance, electronic, just good party vibes, throughout that. So lots to do for the kids, and the adults, and some great food as well. We'll have 16 different, food trucks, throughout the event. So a lot of good food too.
And great activities also to keep that interest high as people are experiencing the music. They go on the rides for a little bit also, and then they want to find some activities as they're walking around and exploring the event. What other sort of activities beyond the music and the rides will be available at Rock and Rides?
Well, one of the new, I think 2 new events we have, one will be a lot of fun, is axe throwing. There's actually an organization called The Hub that's going to, do demonstrations, teach people how to do it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you got to be 18 or older to participate in that, and all that information's on our website. We've also added an inflatable playscape area, as well. So there'll be an additional kind of adult activity and a new kids feature as well. Just because we had so many folks last year, we had to have a little bit of programming. And I do want to mention some of the great food we'll have out there, because I think eating is an activity in and of itself, of course. So we'll have the House of Barbecues, Build a Burger, Island Noodles, the Chickadee Trailer, Andre's Louisiana Seafood, Mike's Mexican Grill, the Maui Mike's Tiki Hut, Cajun Soul Sisters, Mr. Deep Fried, Kona Ice. So just a lot of good food choices as well. And that, I think, with all that, it's a good festival to start the summer. And I think downtown Royal Oak will be buzzing.
Yeah, it certainly will. And it is one of those great things to bring people back out into Royal Oak from across the metro area, from all over the state of Michigan also, as people are getting back out into these events, and these traditions are coming back to somewhat of full strength this summer, as they were in partial strength in the past year or so, as those have started to come back. And one of those ways we're trying to bring people back is with greater opportunities, particularly for younger people, for the kids, for young adults. And this year, Thursday, June 16th, the first day of the event, is going to be a community day sponsored by Henry Ford Health System. Can you tell us about that special programming?
Sure. So that's a great program, and we're so I think collaborating with Henry Ford Health has been amazing. They have a new facility in Royal Oak and have been very engaged in the community. So we are partnering with 12 nonprofits to offer kids and young adults with special needs, or who are at risk or have life-threatening illnesses, the chance to enjoy carnival lunch and beverages and admission, all for free. So some of our nonprofit partners include Boys Hope, Girls Hope, the Children Miracle Network Hospitals, Haven, Habitat for Humanity, the Rainbow Connection, Vista Maria, Troy Transition, COTS are all referring and getting the word out to families that we can, so we can take this wonderful program we have and offer, some opportunities for families and kids and young adults. My son has autism. He's participating with his group, Troy Transitions, and we expect 1,500 folks to enjoy that. So we opened early for kids and families that are in that program, and that'll run from 2 to 6, and then we open to the general public at 4. So there's actually a little bit of a spillover, when folks that are getting the community free events are mixing in with the general public, and that's always been a lot of fun and a great way to kick things off. And I'm glad we have the opportunity to talk about and highlight that. We have other nonprofits like Forgotten Harvest that'll be getting some benefit from our gate revenues. So we hope to generate between $20,000 and $25,000 from local nonprofits, in addition to this great community day.
We're joined by John Witz, event producer at Rock and Rides, joining us on the Michigan Megacast Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week, beginning Thursday, June 16th, 4 to 11 p.m., Friday, 11 to 11, Saturday, 11 to 11, and Sunday, 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. in downtown Royal Oak. John, before we let you go, as we're expecting more people to come back out to these sorts of events this summer, and this particular event this week, tell us about the parking situation, where people can park for this event in Royal Oak.
So I'm so glad you're letting me talk about parking, because there's a little bit of concerns about some of the meter parking in Royal Oak, but it doesn't affect or change the fact that as a downtown, Royal Oak has thousands of parking spaces and parking decks. And I just want to say this for the business community as well. I mean, people are concerned, with, some issues with backing and parking, although we found the meters full So they are getting used. But the biggest issue is that 80% of the parking in Royal Oak is in parking decks, and there have been no issues there. And we'll offer free parking just like they normally do on a downtown weekend. For anyone that's coming to the event for the first 2 hours, parking is free, and it's only 75 cents an hour. So for the mass amounts of people, we'll be parking in parking decks, and they were very readily available last year. And like I said, there are thousands of spaces, all, many which are in walking distance to the festival, like within 2 blocks off of Center Street. They're on Lafayette, and even in the north side of the downtown, there's new parking decks there. So off 11 Mile. So I would recommend, for this weekend to not concern with meters. If you don't want to back into a metered space, you can park in the parking deck. But I will say, just in fairness to the city, that there are problems that are being worked out, but the meters are being used, and the parking decks remain a great asset to the city, and will be all that we need for parking for Rock and Rides.
John, thank you so much for joining us and previewing this event that begins on Thursday of this week.
Yes. Thank you, Tyler, for having us. And rockandridesro.com, and it's got all the details, and we'll see everybody this weekend.
June 16th through 19th, downtown Royal Oak, for their family fun with a rockin' block party. rockandridesro.com, as John said, for more information. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Megacast. Big thank you to all of our guests who joined us on today's program, and a huge thank you, as always, to our crew, Calvin Brown, our technical director, with me in the studio for the full marathon, as is Jared Clark at the office of My Michigan TV, our Zoom producer on this edition of the program, and of course the king of television, Larry Nyland, our producer for each and every program, helping the guests and us get ready to have informative conversations on a number of different topics for the full 2 hours that we're on each and every day, Monday through Friday. On My Michigan TV, more original programming is coming up next with Steve Lado Live, followed by Larry and Ronnie Live, and the rest of our network will be back tomorrow morning with a new edition of the Oakland County and Michigan Megacasts.